Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'm just doing the introduction today. We're going to have Brian and Robin Joy hopping on here in just a moment, covering a great topic. I've already heard this episode. You're going to love it. The illustration they use towards the beginning is kind of comical, but I just love the banter between the two of them. And it's a great illustration of the fact that when you get started in business, and Amazon is no exception, e-commerce is no exception. When you're getting started on anything worth doing, you're not going to be as good at the beginning as you will be eventually. If you aim for perfection right out of the gate, you're just going to delay getting started. What we've built into the processes that we teach here is room for errors. We want you to make some little mistakes. These aren't expensive mistakes. They're not going to cost you a lot of money, but you're going to learn very quickly the right way by just wading in and doing the stuff that we teach. And so I love the illustrations that they use today along those lines. Before we jump over and hear that great content from Brian and Robin Joy, I want to tell you about our conference that's coming up in May. And you've heard me talk about this maybe the last 3 days of May 2025 in Orlando, Florida, the Proven Conference. Well, we've got a workshop that's happening the 2 days prior to that. So now we're talking about the last 5 days of May 2025. We'd love to have you there with us. This workshop will actually be taught by Brian and Robin Joy Olson. You can read more about the workshop at provenamazoncourse.com/100. It's going to be a smaller group. We get the laptops out. We really dive in and set a process in place to help you find your first 100 replen products for your business. So you're going to spend a couple days and make potentially a few months worth of progress on your business right there, hands-on, coaches in the room, going through a beautiful process. And then the full conference, the 3 days following. It's a great way to spend the last 5 days of May 2025. Go to provenamazoncourse.com/100 to get details. And here's some cool news too, tying that announcement into something else you've heard us talking about. If you want to get, I think we're offering 6 months free of the system if you come to the workshop. That's a pretty incredible deal. The retail value is $400 per month for that software. That's what we will be charging the public for that full automation software. It's the same software tool that, if you remember, Kang built, the great student who's emerged as a great leader in our community. He built a full workflow system for his $3 million Amazon replens business, to the point where a couple virtual assistants, a person in his warehouse, could run the entire thing. All he had to do is check his stats. So once you're good at finding test-worthy ASINs and you plug them into the system, it takes over and it does the heavy lifting. It's pretty incredible. We'd love to show you a demo of how this works and more details about it. If you go to silentjim.com/the-system, you can see more about it and inquire on your huge discount that we're rolling out just to the listeners of this show, just to members of our community before we go public. We really think this is going to be an embraced tool in the overall industry, well beyond the borders of our community. But for right now, you can pay 5 times less than what others will be paying monthly for this tool. Check it out, silentjim.com/the-system. Now, I've mentioned the workshop and the software. If you come to the workshop, we're giving you several months free of the system software. Reach out to our team, schedule a call, have a conversation with us. The way you do that is go to silentjim.com/book-a-call, all one word, or there's a number there you can text during business hours, and someone will get back to you right away. We've got consultants in our office standing by, doing other work, but when someone inquires, they hop on the phone and they're there to help you. So take advantage of that. If you've never had a scheduled a planning call with us, a strategy call with our team, we'd love to meet you, have a conversation, tell you about our free, low-cost resources, our events, coaching, anything else you have questions about, and see if it's a good fit for where you are in your business. All right, well, I think that's enough of an intro for now. Enjoy this conversation today. Be sure to check out the links. If you were scurrying, writing all those things down, don't worry, they're all in the show notes for you today. Just scroll down to the notes near this episode, and you can go get the link that you need to check out Kang's system software, or our upcoming conference, or the workshop that happens the 2 days before the May conference, or the special offer. If you come to the conference, you get the software, and you can absolutely love taking advantage of that. So enjoy this episode. Let's jump over and turn it to Brian and Robin Joy.
Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
Hi, everybody.
Robin.
Yes.
You know I love cooking.
You do.
I'm not very good at it.
I'm glad you love cooking.
I'm not very good at it.
Oh, I think you're very good at it.
But we came up with this. You know how when you're making that, when you make a batch of pancakes?
Yeah.
A batch.
Right.
You have this bowl. It has all your, you mix your stuff in there. You got this batter, and then you start making the pancakes.
Yep.
What always happens with the first pancake?
It sucks. The first pancake is always a problem. You got to get past the first pancake. Is that what you're going for?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Yeah. You think, well, I put this, you pour the batter in there, you scoop it, whatever.
Has all the ingredients, the right consistency. It should all work, right?
It should work. You put it in the pan and you cook it and you're like, what is this color? What are these circles? This doesn't look anything like a pancake.
Why is this? Yes, this is not good.
This looks like a terrible pancake.
So then what do you do?
Well, you persevere.
Yeah.
You take that one out and you put more batter on.
Oh, this makes me realize a person who's experienced in making pancakes realizes the first pancake is always going to be bad. You have to throw away the first pancake.
It probably tastes fine. It just doesn't look like a pancake, right?
Right.
It doesn't cook quite the same.
It's not what you wanted.
Right. It's not exactly what you were going for, but you keep putting it in there.
A starving person would eat it for sure.
Absolutely. And then like your second or third pancake, then it's in a groove, right? You're like, right. Oh yeah, these are coming out. They're nice and golden brown. There's no big circles. Everything's really small. Flip it over, do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then by the time you get to the end, you're making the best pancakes. And then usually you have just enough, or you have enough batter that you don't want to make two small pancakes. So you want to make one giant pancake, right? Yeah. That's what I like to do.
Yeah. You like to do that, and you like to carry all the grocery bags at once. There's no going back to the car.
Oh,
everything must come in one trip.
I call that the one trip wonder.
Yeah, you are a wonder.
I am
when
a
you're
one trip wonder.
And then you complain the whole time. Just make two trips.
No, got to get it in one trip.
All right.
So we can't get those bags here in Denver anymore, or in Colorado for that matter. Yeah. But you used to be able to put two on each finger and carry them in like this. And anyway, the first
Back
pancake.
To the pancakes.
Yeah. The first pancake is not unlike when you're first trying to figure out, when you first start testing products.
Right. Your first ones aren't going to go very well. That's intended. Mm-hmm. But you can't start with the second one, now can you?
No, you can't.
If you could start with the second pancake, you'd do it every time, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. As far as anyone else knows, you can start with the second pancake, but you start with the first pancake.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell everybody that was your first.
Yeah.
That wasn't your first.
You should have seen my first pancake. It was so terrible. No, you don't have to tell anyone.
That's true. It's true, though. I mean, we're all trying to get to the point of the fact that the first few attempts might be a little ugly. That doesn't mean they're not edible. That doesn't mean they don't have any value. It means, expecting that is part of what helps you feel successful. I liken it to knitting. As you have more experience in making pancakes, you expect that first one to be, not so great, mm-hmm. and then get better after that. Knitting's the same way. Once you have, I can tell an experienced knitter because they're willing to rip it out a ways. Those who are doing this the first few times are like, oh, I put so much time and effort into this that I cannot rip it. I have to find a way to fix it. It's never going to look right. Oh my gosh. And that's what happens with, your first sourcing attempts, mm-hmm. your first testing attempts. You're like, oh, I have to hold on to this because I might not make money on it. I might only break even. That's okay.
Yeah.
Let it be that first pancake.
Let it be the first pancake.
Same with processes, right?
Yeah.
Processes are the same way. You got to try something, see how it goes, and then you'll know where you can make it better. But if you don't even try anything, it's hard to get to the process or system that works properly.
So I want to come back to that. You're holding on so tight, right, to this thing, and we can talk about that maybe towards the end of this episode. But one of the other things that comes to mind in that process, it totally just went out of my head as I was explaining.
See, I saw it. It just went right out. Yep, it happens. Happens to me all the time.
Now it come back to me.
Okay.
All right. in a previous episode, I mentioned that like we're in the process of writing a book.
Yes.
And through this process of writing a book, it could be really easy, like to get, I mean, you've already done this, right?
Yeah.
We have the entire
2,000 to
outline.
3,000 times.
We already
it
have
seems
like the majority of the content there. It's all there. And then we're like starting all over.
Yeah.
Starting
like,
from,
oh, now I know how I want this to flow. All right, let's go back and make it this. We've done that 2 or 3 times already. Yeah.
so it's not like cooking, right?
Right.
In that you don't make a decision on the success of your recipe when you only have 4 of the 12 ingredients in there and go, oh yeah, that's not right.
Right.
You have to put the whole thing together.
Yeah.
You have to prepare it, and then you have to eat it and see if it meets, the expectation before you say, okay, well, I'm going to retool that a little bit, right? You can't stop halfway through and say, oh, well, this isn't going to work.
Right.
You actually have to get to the end and see what the results are.
Exactly.
And it's
then
okay.
go back. Then you know what to fix. But until you see the results, you don't know what to fix.
Right. So same thing with the book. Like you get the whole thing all crafted out. For the most part, it's like 85% there. Everything's good. And then we're like, we forgot we were going to do this. And so we're like, start all over and, recreate it from the ground up.
Right.
And
but then we have something to work with. We've got our message worked out. We've got,
Right. We've gone through several iterations of how do we want to say this and whatever. And the same thing goes in this business, right? I don't think you can say, well, I started searching for products, but I didn't find anything. So this doesn't work, or this is a bad recipe.
Right.
You actually have to go all the way through the process. We talk about that cycle all the time, right? The repetitions. You got to get through a repetition. This is the first pancake. The first pancake is one whole repetition.
Which brings me to the Kickstart Bootcamp.
Yes.
silentjimdotcom/Kickstart if you're interested in that, where we take you through one rep. We get you through that first pancake. You're probably not going to want to keep that first pancake. You're not going to want to worry about making money, but you get so much information about how hot your pan is, about how much oil you have, about, little things that you didn't know. That shipping process is not nothing. Let me tell you, if you've never done it before, your first one should be a very small shipment. We in Kickstart, we do just one unit because it's not intuitive. Once you get it, you wonder what you were concerned about, but you have a whole lot of questions and concerns in that during the first time. So the Kickstart Bootcamp takes you through that process one time and helps you answer those questions.
I love that. And when we were sort of doing the pre-read for this episode, we never talked about the first pancake being like the Kickstart Bootcamp.
We didn't.
But it is a perfect analogy of that, right?
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the live workings. How do they come up with this? They just start talking.
Well, no, it's true that, and I remember like my very first shipment ever and how clunky it felt and all that sort of, and the sourcing. I mean, the whole process, the whole first repetition was about as ugly as it gets. And it is for most people. The first time you do this, that's going to be as ugly as it is. It gets better every time. It
does get better if you keep doing it. It doesn't get better if you don't do it again.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But that expectation of that first one being ugly, we all want to be the ones who get a first.
The very first pancake is the gem.
We get the A+ in lab without ever going to the lab. It's really not practical to have that expectation.
I agree.
So the more we can help you understand that that's normal, you're going to have to get through that. The faster you get through it, the faster it is behind you, the better you're going to do, I think. The better we'll do at convincing you that this is the right thing to do. So,
all right, great.
First pancake.
First pancake. Okay, we can move on from the first pancake.
I think so.
Let's talk about something that we heard. I heard I don't know if it was a quote or I heard somebody say, or we were talking about, can't attribute this to anyone specifically, but the concept really hit home with me, which was the idea that you can go fast by yourself.
Yeah.
But you really can't get by that very far by yourself.
I think we read that somewhere this week.
I think we did. Yeah.
And that makes total sense. I mean, I can go really fast by myself. I can, go buy something, get it in the mail, get it shipped off to Amazon, get it prepped and shipped off to Amazon, quick. But I'm not going to be able to do that at volume, at scale. In the beginning, I'll do that quite a bit and move pretty quickly, but then I'm going to want to scale. Right?
Yeah. This is like the first, you're capable of doing X amount by yourself.
Sure.
And even if you bring in a partner.
There's no bureaucracy between yourself and yourself, right?
Right. And you start to layer in bureaucracy when you bring someone in.
Yes.
Right. And it's not red tape necessarily. I mean, it is sort of red tape in that it's a lot of communication challenges.
Which is, I mean, we look at bureaucracy as a bad thing, but there is a good purpose
good case
for
it. In some cases, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're working by yourself, yes, you can do all of this stuff. You can source. You can do all the things.
You can change your mind every day.
You can source, you can shop, you can prep, you can ship, you can price, you can replenish, you can do all your administrative stuff, but you can only do so much of that because you only have so many hours in the day.
There's only one of me.
There is only one of you, yes. But if you want to go farther, then you need to start bringing in resources that are going to help you do that.
Right. So you want to start building a team. What things can I outsource? What things can I put into my business that make me not have to be in it all the time, and I can work on my business instead of in my business, is what you like to say, right? So in the beginning, day one, you're not going to be adding a team.
No.
Don't need to.
No.
It would cost you. It would cost you to do that, right? And you don't want costs. You want profits, right?
You want to prove it out. Right.
Yeah.
Even if you're breaking even. And so that now after those first couple pancakes, man, when you're making a pancake, it's good. It's profitable. It's doing exactly what you thought it was going to do.
At least a certain percentage of them are, right?
Yeah.
Takes a few times.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sorry. I thought we're going to go somewhere else with that.
I was, but I can't come up with it. So maybe it'll come to me.
Well, one of the things that we talked about previously is part of your team can be services and tools in addition to people.
Yes.
Because what the team is for you, or you're not going to get very far by yourself. Okay. Well, how do you get farther by yourself? You leverage tools, resources, people. And you can start to get some of that time back in your life so that you can do other things, like maybe focusing more working on the business, maybe focusing more working on the sourcing, focus more doing on whatever part of the business it is that you like, because you've gotten, tools, services, or people to handle the other part of it.
Right. So I remember what I was going to say about that.
Yeah.
In the beginning, while you are working by yourself, that's an important period of time. Not only are you learning a whole lot and getting a lot of these bad first pancakes behind you and a lot of different processes, if you can consider yourself the employee while you're doing the tasks and create processes that work for the employee, then you can pass that off to an employee or a service or a contractor. But if you just keep changing your mind every time, make a different decision, you're going to have a certain amount of that. At some point, you're going to have to bring it around to the majority of the time, this is what I want. So you can put it in a process. So when that time comes that you're adding a team, adding contractor services, professionals to your team, that you know clearly what you want from them and how to measure that and whether they're doing it or not. When you bring on a tool or a contractor or someone who's doing a task for you, and they tell you, I know how to do this, we do it all the time, If it does not match your process, you're going to have to adjust the use of that to your process. Never let a tool predict or prescribe what your process is. You prove your own process and add the tool as help.
This just reminds me of something that came up in a coaching session I had last week around that, where someone was asking me, well, Sellerboard says I should replenish X amount of units to my inventory.
Yes.
And so should I do that? And I'm like,
Not because Sellerboard says so.
Exactly. I don't treat Sellerboard's recommendations any differently than I do Amazon's recommendations, unless it's a private listing for me.
Yeah.
In which
case it's a little different. But in the
replens space, I am gauging my own replenishment amounts based on my previous sales amount, not based on sales velocity of the ASIN, which is what Amazon does a lot of. Sellerboard appears to do a lot of that as well. And so if you're following that guidance, because that's what the system tells you to do, then you could end up in a bad spot.
So let me throw in there also that I think Sellerboard and some of these other tools, you can adjust those predictions to match the way you want them to be. So in this case, we're talking about don't take it the way it comes out of the box. Vet that out. Figure out exactly what it's telling you. Is that what you want it to tell you to trigger replenishments, or do you need to adjust a setting in there to make it tell you what you want? That way the tool can work better for you. Keep is a good example of that. We've talked about that before. We don't use Keepa for the purpose it was created. It was created for consumers to see when those things, go down in price and I can buy it at the right time. And you as third-party sellers, use this information to tell us sales information to help us predict what we can sell for and that what's going to be a good test or not.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, I just wanted to drive home that point. Like, just because this, whatever the tool or person is that says, here's our suggestions, doesn't mean that you are bound to follow those suggestions. It's your business. You need to make decisions based on the intelligence that you're getting and the data that you're getting from these tools. And then you should make your own decisions.
And I think just to throw something else in there to think about, all these things, just, think about them, be aware of them. You are where you are in your business. So doing the same things when you're at $5,000 a month in sales as someone who's at $100,000 a month in sales is probably going to be a big leap. How do you get there? Watch and see how they got there. A lot of sellers in this community will help you, explain to you how they got there, but don't expect that everything they do now is going to work for you now in a completely different scale.
Yeah. Okay. So that was just a little caveat around when you're leveraging tools and systems to just be mindful of what they're suggesting for you. It's still your business. It's still your decision, but you are going to need to leverage some of these things that sometimes just help with automation, sometimes help with predicting things, sometimes help with, taking a manual service off of your plate. Your virtual team is going to be made up of tools, services, and probably human capital in order to really scale your business. I can't think of the cap that I've actually seen someone go to as a single or as a couple is probably, I don't know, $30,000 to $40,000 a month.
That's about where we were, and we were hoofing it all day.
Now, we weren't selling $1,000 units, so I guess it's possible that you could have a much higher sales value if you're selling really expensive items. But normally, when we're first starting out in the replen space, that's not what we're doing, right? Because that doesn't meet our low high.
Items are few and far between.
Yeah.
That work that way, and we don't want to risk that much capital to prove it out either. So
just if you're selling 1,000 or 2,000 units a month, if you think about what does it take to prep 2,000 units a month, that's 500 units a week.
That
was our capacity.
We were doing 200 to 300 units twice a week when we realized we needed to get some help.
Yeah, because we couldn't maintain that.
Right.
And I don't think that's a great place to be. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
that was a great place to be.
These are the problems to have,
because what happens is you don't have a team that you have to support. Yeah, we had some tools and services, but we didn't have other things.
We were lean and mean and moving fast.
Right, and so that was when we had our maximum sales. Before we did private label, our maximum profit margin, right?
Yes.
Was in that stage right before, that you're at the top. We're at the maximum of everything that we could do ourselves and maximizing our profit. And then boom, we exploded to that next level. And that next level, in order to get there, you really have to have help.
Yeah. And you really have to have systems in place in order to efficiently use your help.
Right, which is that sort of frameworks message that we had a couple of weeks ago. Was, I think,
very
really,
important.
Geared towards that.
Agreed.
So anyway, you can go fast by yourself and you should absolutely go as fast as you want to. And there are some people who they just go fast up to, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month. And that creates $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month in profit. And they're happy with that. And I say, if that's good enough for you, let it be good enough.
Absolutely.
I think what is a lot of times undervalued in this space, because everyone likes the big rags to riches story. But I think what's really undervalued in this space is the business that is pretty low key.
Yep.
And I'm not sure I mean low key in the modern lingo sort
sexy.
of way.
Yeah.
But you're doing $10,000, $15,000 a month in profit. You're doing $10,000, $15,000 a month in sales.
You're selling ketchup and paper clips.
And you're doing $2,000 to $3,000 a month in profit, net profit.
Yeah.
And this is what like I've talked about house payment money before. There's car payment money. There's electric bill money.
Yeah.
There's car payment money. Sometimes, hopefully those, I'm going in the right order here in terms of which ones cost more.
Turned over.
Then there's house payment money. And then there's replace your job money, but you don't have to be in this to replace your job. You can be in this to create an additional stream of income.
One step at a time.
Right. And then once you've gotten...
Then you can make a decision about whether you want to replace your job or not.
Exactly. If you want to scale it to that point.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you're like, okay, I'm feeling
It's
pretty
not
good.
required.
I got $2,500, $3,000 a month in profit. I'm feeling pretty good. I've outsourced most everything. I can do this with very light touch.
I was going to say, if you do that without outsourcing, then you still are your single point of failure, right? So you get in a car accident, that business stops.
Yes, right.
Because you're the only one.
That stream of income is gone.
Yeah.
Right. Or suspended.
Hopefully by then you've at least have your processes down and someone can come and help you. But if you don't even have that and you're unconscious, there's no helping. We can't help you.
This is the FAR part. Sometimes the FAR isn't about the number of dollars per month. The FAR can be about how many consecutive months can you do this?
Right. And the ability to spread that labor over other ways to do it. Okay.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think there's still ample opportunity to scale a nice 7-figure business, even in the replen space.
Absolutely. We see it all the time.
We see it all the time, but also it doesn't have to be that. Make it be what it needs to be for you, what you want it to be. Don't live someone else's dream. Live your own.
Right. Figure out what that is. Find out what it takes to get that, and then decide whether you're willing to do what it takes or not. If you are, then you will get, and you do it, then you'll get it.
Yep.
All right.
So you had another coaching session last week with someone who had recently recovered from
Section 3.
A Section 3
investigation. Yeah. So this person had a Section 3 investigation, hadn't done anything wrong. It happens sometimes. They were questioned about some sources. They had to provide some information for Amazon to say, yep, you're good. Everything you've done is right. We're going to put you back in business. Good to go. Perfect. That's the way we like that to go. Doesn't always go that way, but in his case, it did. Good for him. He kept his receipts. He had everything organized, and he was able to get in and out of that process fairly quickly compared to what we've seen.
He did not know what to expect, right? Going through that.
No,
everyone is like Section 3. Right. Like, I don't know how this is
We're
going
done.
to go.
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't always go that badly.
Right. But what we typically are trying to arm people with is the data that they'll need to provide to Amazon so that the Section 3 thing is fairly inconsequential. Now, don't get me wrong. Whatever stage of the business that you are at, whatever amount of profits that it is generating for you, anytime being shut down.
Yeah.
Or suspended or suspended light, right? Where you can continue to sell, but you can't collect money or whatever the situation might be. Those are not pleasant situations to be in.
No, they're not. But it's no different than any other business. Anything can happen. You started dry cleaners, right? Or you buy a dry cleaners. So you say, okay, I'm going to buy a business that's making money. I'm going to put my investment in there, and then I'm going to recover my investment and make profit, right? By doing the business they already do and have proven out. And then there's new regulations, say something happened and they regulated the chemicals that you use for dry cleaning, or the fact that you can't do it within the city limits. This is not the case. I'm saying these are things that could happen.
Oh, that has certainly happened in the dry cleaning space, like chemicals-wise.
People have had to adjust and spend their own money doing it. And shut down for a period of time. The thing that I'm trying to show you is that this does happen with Amazon, using Amazon's platform, for sure. Things happen that slow you down because Amazon changed the rules or, whatever. A lot of times they're doing that because of regulation. But the point I'm trying to make is that any business is going to be like that. So if you want to start a business, any business, you're going to be faced sometimes with unexpected problems that slow you down or shut you down for a while that you have to overcome.
Yep.
This is no different. So why would we expect anything different? What is different about this business is that it is as low a risk in the replants. If you start with replants, like we like to start you with, it is as low a risk as anything we've ever seen. And trust me, we've tried several things. Low risk, low investment gets you started. Now, don't expect to put put $500 in there, and within a year you could absolutely be, 10, 20, 30,000. It's possible if you're consistent. We're not promising anything, but we have seen it happen way shorter time than that. But don't expect that if I put in $500 today, I'm going to have $10,000 a month tomorrow, or even 60 days from now. It just doesn't work that way. Let's reset our expectations to realistic expectations. And this is something that we work with people in the coaching program. We help you brainstorm that out, plan that out. What can I actually expect? We like to see you try it a little bit so you can see what it's going to take. And then we try to make plans as we go along about what to actually expect and where to measure our progress.
I did actually have someone ask me, a newer coaching client last week, say, is it realistic for me to make to make $10,000 of total net profit between now and the end of November next year? And I was like, oh yeah, I mean,
sure,
that's pretty easy to do.
Let's talk about what it's going to take.
Right? Yeah. If you're, we'll lay out the systems for you and the work that has to be done. If you're willing to do the work and learn from the process, then yeah, like you could potentially get to that point, depending on what your inventory spend looks like per month by that time.
Sure, you absolutely could. Again, no promises, but you absolutely could if you did what it takes. So we try to help you understand what it's going to take.
Because it's not on me.
No.
It's not on
I don't have to do
you. It's not on anyone in this community. It's not on Jim. It's not on any other coach. Really, it's on you.
Right.
And if you are willing to do it, if they, as they say, there is a will, there is a way.
Yes.
And you have all the support that you need. Pretty much here in this community, I can't think of any question or anything situation that you might need to talk to Jeff Schick or something like that. But
sure,
there's a way out of everything and a way through to success, and you can find that here in this space.
I agree. I think that what we can do is help you understand what that process is going to look like to meet your goals. And I do love working with people and helping them understand that it's going to feel pretty slow in the beginning. It does, because it takes a little while for that to start turning back, and you have to do a lot of activity up front and put in a little bit of money up front before you see any of that come back. And that period is the hardest period for anybody. It was for us. I mean, you had gone through that before I got involved, but it was tough.
I had a great thought that I lost it when you were talking.
Okay. Because I interrupted you.
Then I had another thought, and then I had another thought. And then, but we're talking about like buying a business. And, imagine that, has anyone ever gone through the car wash at the gas station? Like the gas station that has the little drive-through car wash on it?
Yeah.
How many times is that drive-through car wash broken when you're going to get gas?
A lot.
Like if you're this business owner, you're like, I'm buying this gas station and I'm going to make my what we call my above the buy box profits with my car wash. And then the car wash is broken half the time. You're like, well, what the heck? This is stinky, right?
Stinky.
This is not good for my business.
Right.
The same thing, like if you were a McDonald's franchisee, or even if you're a McDonald's corporate. Oh, here's what we can really make some profits on. We're going to sell shakes.
Yeah.
And then what happens? You go to McDonald's.
Shake machine's broken.
Shake machine's broken. Like what?
I swear it's a conspiracy.
Right. This is the same thing. Trying to equate it to what we face with Amazon. Oh, I can't sell that ASIN right now. It's not available to me until after Q4. Or or I got a Section 3 and I'm partially working right now. Or there are these challenges in any business that you're going to do. But one of the things that I kind of started this conversation out with is that I wanted to cover and equate this to. Robin and Joy and I talk a lot about the abilities. We want your business to be sustainable, scalable, profitable, or sustainability, predictability, profitability, scalability,
all the abilities.
We want all the abilities in our business, and we're adding one to the list. Overcome ability.
Yeah.
Your ability
like
to
it.
overcome these challenges, right?
Overcome ability.
Overcome.
I will overcome.
Should we get a mug with that?
Overcome ability.
Overcomeability, yeah.
Keep calm and overcome.
No, but everything that I don't say everything, but a lot of the things that you see in this community are come from experiences of other people who were doing the business, including Rob and Joy and I. And what we're trying to help people do when we're going through the coaching process is give people the ability to overcome, because we know that these challenges are going to come up, just like in any real business. There's no business where you can say, oh, I'm going to invest $5,000 and this thing's going to turn into $1 million business for me. And, abracadabra, Bob's your uncle. It just really doesn't work that way.
Yep.
Which is why there's opportunity for everyone, because if it were that easy, then everyone would be doing it and there'd be no opportunity left.
But I love that I get rewarded for that extra that I can put in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have a ton of time, but I can put in some extra effort, and I can do what people who are not willing to put in extra effort cannot do.
Yep. All right, let's wrap this thing up with a quote.
All right. What quotes?
So this is a classic quote from Carl Jung, the famous psychologist.
Yes.
The quote is, "What you resist persists."
Mm-hmm. What you resist persists. What do we resist? Sourcing. Huh?
Yeah, I think most people resist sourcing. Yeah, they're like,
we
why
do not.
is this
We
so
love
hard?
sourcing.
And when you can cross that bridge and get to the love side of sourcing, then sourcing is not going to be an issue for you anymore. Right. And it will hopefully be your strong suit. And the people that you bring into your business to help you go farther can also be their strong suit. I think about this in our personal lives as well.
Yeah.
There are things that I'm like, why? I really dislike this conversation, right? And I'm like,
wait, you dislike conversations with me?
No, not with you.
No, never with me.
Right. Or whatever the situation is, I find myself just like the whole resist thing. And I shouldn't resist that. I guess I should welcome this in and, unpack it and see what I can do there, make it better. Yeah.
Well, we see it all the time with sourcing is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't find anything. Oh, everything I look at is I'm not approved to sell. Mm-hmm. Oh, general statements about everything because I've looked at, 500 ASINs. Okay. First of all, you're going to have to look at more than 500 ASINs. Let's get some expectations in place. You're going to have to spend some hours in the beginning that are going to feel pretty unproductive. But you don't realize the progress you're making as you go through this first time. Again, back to knitting, right? That foundational, we call it a cast on. When you first start the basis of a sweater or anything really, you have to cast on the yarn and make your initial loops. It's ugly. In those first few rows, they are not comfortable. They're fumbling around. It doesn't feel, you can't tell how big it's going to be yet until you get through those first few rows. But it's like the first pancake. I can't start on the fourth row. There's no foundation there. So be comfortable with the fact that everybody has to go through this period that they have to overcome those first obstacles.
And you'll be stronger for it. And in fact, one of the things I meant to mention earlier is the people who face a Section 3, while the rest of us, because we haven't had a section,
thank goodness
the way it's
yet.
called, that's, we have had to do other things in the past, like to prove authenticity, chain of custody and stuff. And it was probably under the Section 3. It just it wasn't a thing at that time.
Right. They didn't shut us down, but we did have to respond. This was a few years ago. But
the experience that you get by going through it is way more valuable than never having faced it, than never having to face it.
This client that I've been working with that went through this, well, he knows now how important it is to make sure an item is not misbranded. Now, he didn't have any misbranded items, but he understands the value of it, how important it is, and how if he had any, that would have been a problem. So when we say in the beginning, misbranding is a problem, stay away from misbranded ASINs, that we're very serious about that. There are very few things that are rights and wrongs in this community that you can and can't do, but very seriously, stay away from misbranded items.
Step one,
no misbranded items.
No misbranded items.
And no third parties, don't buy inventory from third-party sellers on any platform.
What you resist persists. So let's not resist the sourcing process. What do we do when we're not resisting the sourcing process?
Testing more ASINs.
Let's go test some more ASINs.
Let's do it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you
see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, before we let you go, we have a special segment that we do here once per week with our good friend Jeff Schick from jeffschick.com. He is a legal and policy expert for all things Amazon, Walmart, and e-commerce, and we're excited to have him back on the show. Jeff, thanks so much for being here. And what do you have for us today?
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And today we're going to talk about transparency. So a lot of people wonder what transparency is. It's kind of a buzzword. If you're a private label seller, you probably already know, because I encourage most of our private label clients to enroll in the program. But if you're an arbitrage seller, your first experience with transparency will likely come about when you're going to send a product to Amazon or ship it to a customer and you're asked for a transparency code. So what sellers need to know about transparency-enabled listings is that if you're sending products to Amazon, FBA, and it's transparency enabled, you do have to have 5 products with unique transparency codes in order to send those products into FBA. So what that means is if you are at, a store, like let's say you're sourcing at Home Depot and you pick up a grill cleaner and you notice on the grill cleaner that there's this little sticker that has it's got like a blue T, stylized blue T on it. And it says, scan me with your transparency app next to the barcode. That indicates that that product is transparency enabled. Now, it doesn't mean you can't sell it on Amazon, but it would mean that you'd have to buy 5 of them, because in order to send those products to FBA, you've got to scan 5 unique barcodes, because each one of those QR codes is a different serial number. So you'd have to scan all 5 of them, and that would allow you to then send the product into FBA. If you don't have 5 and you send it into FBA, that's when you'll get hit with a transparency violation, and they'll come back and say, you sent us products, you need to provide at least 5 serial numbers in order to unlock them. So highly recommend doing it. If just as a word of advice for sellers, if you're sending in shipments to FBA and you notice a transparency sticker on the product, take that out of your shipment if you're using any sort of like Inventory Labs or 2D Workflow or Scan Power, anything like that. Take it out of your shipment from there and create its own shipment plan through Send to FBA. The reason is that on the API for the shipping partner API, Amazon does not integrate with transparency right now. It's been like a common pain point for people. So it will not flag that as needing to be unlocked before sending to FBA. It will just allow you to create a shipping plan to FBA. Then what will happen is Amazon will receive the units and immediately put them into their held inventory pot, like bin or whatever, where they're going to then send you a notice and say, you sent these products in without validating them through transparency in advance. You must provide all of your invoices to prove that they're authentic, even though they can scan the stickers that are on the products. And it turns into a huge ordeal, and it's an account health violation that you have to clear, or else they'll throw the units away. So my recommendation is when sending those to FBA, take them out of your workflow and send them in using Send to FBA, because then you can make sure that you've done all that, basically pre-scanning in advance. And so you'll just have a separate shipment of those. They'll get them, they'll scan them, they'll sell them, and you're good to go.
Awesome. So you're recommending then, instead of sending anything through one of the third-party shipment softwares, just go into Seller Central and create the shipment for itself for that?
If it's a transparency item, yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I didn't know if you were saying they could create a separate shipment in like Inventory Lab or Scan Power just for that item. So always.
All right, no, you got that right. Yeah, no. So you want to make it in Seller Central for that transparency item.
Perfect. Now, so that's for FBA. What about some of the differences between FBA and FBM with transparency codes?
So FBM is a little bit different. They don't require 5 labels, or at least historically, they've not required 5 labels for FBM. But similar to the FBA issue, if you're using the shipping partner API for like ShipStation or any of those software that create shipping labels when you're selling stuff, they don't integrate with the transparency checker. So what happens is if you send a product to a customer through ShipStation, it will not prompt you to put in a serial number. It will just generate a shipping label and it will mark it as shipped in Amazon. And then about a day later, you'll get an email from Amazon's transparency violations team saying, you sent a product to a customer without scanning the transparency label in advance. You must provide us with invoices to prove authenticity, and we're not going to pay you for this item. So it becomes a pretty big ordeal, and you can lose a lot of money that way because you don't get paid for having not scanned the item when you shipped it out. So when it comes to the FBM, again, I recommend going through Seller Central, buying, shipping through Amazon, scanning those barcodes, the QR codes when you're creating the shipment, and then you're all good to go because it'll send it out and you're good. So.
Now, what is your recommendation then? Because I get this question a lot for whenever somebody is buying a product from a legitimate distributor, even if it's arbitrage, you're buying it from Walmart. You know this product is authentic, but it doesn't have a transparency code. Why is that? Since all of the items are supposed to have transparency codes, and what can a seller do, if anything?
So that would be an example of a manufacturer that is violating Amazon's transparency guidelines. So, when manufacturers enroll in the programs, one of the terms of the transparency program, one of the terms of service is that they have to agree to label all of the items that they sell in all sales channels with transparency codes. Unfortunately, that violation is between a manufacturer and Amazon. So a seller doesn't really have standing to bring a violation. Like, they can point it out to Amazon. You can send it in, say, hey, Amazon, this is going on. But there's really not much more you can do. And so if you bought items like, let's go back to the hypothetical grill cleaner at Home Depot. If it says that it requires a transparency code and the one that you bought at Home Depot doesn't have that transparency code, then unfortunately, you can point that out to Amazon. Like, you could take pictures of it, you could open a case, but beyond that, there's not anything you could do. And you certainly would not want to send in that product to Amazon and think that you're going to prove a point, because you won't. You'll just get a transparency violation on your account. So I would say, it's probably better just to move on and find other products. If you really feel like it's worth your time to lodge a complaint, then sure, go ahead and do it. Provide them with the photos and the evidence. But other than that, don't expect that it will be a fast process, and certainly don't try to send it in and think that you'll prove a point that way, because you won't.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, Jeff, thanks so much for this information on transparency codes. I know that I get a lot of questions on it, so I'm glad that we got your advice for all of this. And I'm excited to see you next week, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.